Welcome to The Vibrant Couple. Today I have invited Jill Crosby, owner of Spiritual Singles, to talk about dating and finding one soulmate. So, Jill, why are so many people disenchanted with regular dating apps?
Well, regular dating apps are just a pain in the ass, if you ask me, because they're so superficial. So, because once apps started using swiping, they gamified it, and which means that it's like a casino game. In a casino, there's no doors or well, there's doors, but there's no windows, there's no clocks. They keep people enticed to be there. They give them free drinks. Well, dating apps are kind of like that, where people are enticed to just keep swiping. It's like this swipe mentality, like when you're scrolling down any social media, you just keep going and going and going, and rarely even meet somebody because there's not a lot of information on most of the apps. You might be lucky to get a paragraph that tells you a little bit about somebody, and so you're going off looks completely, and that's hard. I mean, you might as well just randomly try to, you know, bow and arrow somebody, and that's how it's kind of the same thing. So it's too random and it's too superficial and too gamified these days. When I started 26 years ago, everything was different. And I've kept my site somewhat old school where yeah, I know you've been on them, and it's somewhat old school where I leave the power in the member's mind, heart, where you as a member can choose who you want to see. You can choose, you can search, you can read profiles that are so in depth and so full of just beautiful information about the person, that where they pour their heart out. And so it really helps everybody get to know each other in a lot more in-depth way.
I've really enjoyed that detail and also the time that I
Mm.
had because there was no swiping.
Yeah, it slows everything down. And members have told me over the years that even creating the profile is kind of a soul searching exercise where they learn a lot about themselves, and discover it helps to refine what someone's looking for, who they are. And because you know how in depth our profile questions are, where we have the multiple choice, then we have the essays, and then we also have the match questions, which there's 320 match questions, and those in all different categories. And then that shows a match percentage with other members. So when somebody takes that kind of time to create a profile on Spiritual Singles, they're serious. And that's part of the screening mechanism too, of just having really high caliber conscious quality members, is they want to take the time to do that kind of a profile, and they want to see that from other members. So screening becomes a lot deeper and more meaningful and easier because you can go to the search and put in whatever you're looking for. Really, I mean, even down to vaccination status, which we added 2, 3 years ago, because mainly the non-vax people really wanted to have that option because they wanted other non-vax singles. And we really listen to our members and provide, usually within reason, right, of what's going to help people find who they're really looking for.
So I've been on a couple other apps, and part of being a relationship coach, part of my dating life is also professional, where I don't want to know what is out in the world. And I think that Bumble and Match have also a number of questions, but they treat the question much more playfully when you invite depth.
Yes, good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Well, and like I said, it's just, I really want to provide the venue where people can learn enough about somebody to get a pretty good idea if they think it's a good potential,
Yeah.
and then obviously the next steps happen. but you got to start out with some good information. Otherwise, it's like it's just so random and spinning the wheels and taking forever. So, yeah, it does. I think having those screening mechanisms are really, really important and to get away from the gaming aspect of it and just kind of calm down. And mine's not an app, by the way, either. We're just a website. I've been, threatening to to create an app for years, but never just haven't done it because of various things. But in a way, that's okay too, because we're focused on security. We don't use AI, which is pretty rare these days. And I have actual real people working for me. My customer support team is phenomenal and mostly in the US, except for one of my guys that moved to Portugal because he met his woman on the site and she was in Portugal and he ended up moving there to be with her. So that was pretty cool.
So I fully agree with there is still a lot of, heart-wrenching, will she like me or not? And I'm assuming, for women, will they like me or not, or whatever the gender and sexual orientation. But it doesn't have the endorphin rush that, the more gaming apps with swipe do.
Well, I don't know. I imagine that this woman contacts you that you are just takes your breath away. Like you see her profile and there's something, I hear this from the success story people that I interview, and it's like I was thinking about Joy and Gavin, and Joy told me in the interview, she saw Gavin's profile and it was visceral. Like her body felt something, like she recognized him, his soul. And I think that's what's really great about spiritual singles is people come to the website with an attitude of consciousness and spirituality, and they're listening to their inner guidance. And then they're following that. And so when someone comes with that energy and that attitude, and they see a profile or they get an email from somebody that is just like, ooh, who is
Mm.
this? It can be an endorphin rush for sure. But
Yeah.
it's not constant like that, like the swiping, oh, a match or it's slower, but it still can happen for sure.
So there is definitely the rush of somehow finding one soulmate because that's what you're after.
Right? That's the ultimate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so how many soulmates have you connected through the site?
Thousands. The ones that tell me, I do my best to keep track of, and that's why I'm contacting some of them now to do these success story interviews and really learn about their journey and what got them there and the relationship. But it's impossible to track because they don't all tell us.
Yeah.
And I mean, I meet people sometimes in person that will tell me they met on my website, and I had no idea, and they might have met 10 years ago because we have success stories that are 20 years old.
I'm sure. So it seems that you have a smaller but highly dedicated pool of people that are spiritual seekers. It
Mhm.
also seems that you slow time down, in which this is not about responding right now. What else? What else does your site provide that is
Well,
different?
well, it's interesting because a lot of times when people are new and they join, they'll tell us that it feels like home, like it feels comfortable. It feels like where they're supposed to be. And I know that from 26 years of doing this site, that there is an energy. It's like a living being almost. It has an energy within itself that's very supportive and loving and And it comes from me ultimately being the mother of birthing this business, if you will. But it's like I always want the best for our members. I want people to fall in love. I want them to have success. And I think that this day and age, you find businesses like that, but not so much in the dating industry. You do a little, but they're so focused on making money. And we've always been focused on member success. And yeah, we obviously need to make money to support the business. It's a very, expensive business to run and market and get out there. And I just never have focused on that. It's like we're very generous too, like with our pay model, where only one person has to upgrade or subscribe to send a personally written message to the other. So that's pretty rare. Most sites, if they're pay models, they want both people to pay. But I always thought, well, in the spiritual community, not everybody has money, a lot, to spare even. And so I always wanted just one person, at least one person pay, and then you guys could talk. And then we'll make our money.
I love it. And it feels very much that you're on purpose. So how did you get
Yeah.
started? Because you were most likely in your 20s when you started. So what triggered it? Have
20s.
you have you always been one of these matchmakers, even in even in school?
Well, I love that you said 20s. Nope, older than that, but I'll be 60 next month actually.
Okay. So
So
in your
I'm no
30s.
I'm no spring chicken. Yeah, 30s. There you go. Um, yeah, well, I was working for a bricks and mortar dating company at the time, called Great Expectations. And uh, I was in sales and we were signing people up. And meanwhile, online dating was brand new. This was 90s, late 90s. And online dating was new. And I had joined a site and I was meeting mainstream guys. And, they wanted to talk about football and sports and drinking and, whatever, boring stuff that I didn't really care about. So I thought there's got to be a spiritual dating site out there. But nope, there wasn't. So I just thought, well, I guess I could do it. I don't know anything about it. I had to get this, I had to call a friend who worked for AOL at the time and
Wow,
ask him.
that was a while back.
I know. I had to ask him, how do I register a domain name? Which to me is funny now because I own over 300 domain names as part of the business. And yeah, so it was really, I didn't know anything. It was totally blind. And there's a whole story behind that of synchronicities that happened. And a friend from San Diego who moved back up to Toronto, dating a guy that she met online who had the same idea, and he was a programmer. And so we joined forces for the first year, and then we went our separate ways because I didn't see it working out long term. And by then, I could afford to pay somebody to do the site, and wanted to do it differently anyway. And it from there it evolved. But I worked that day job with the online dating or the dating bricks and mortar dating company for 9, 10 years after I launched the business still, because I wasn't making enough money and I just bootstrapped it and I didn't have any investors or anything. So it just
Yeah,
was like,
and it seems that to be valid, you have to have a pool big enough. Most of these dating apps that just started, I think they buy their clientele somewhere
mm,
to have enough. And uh,
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
And that's
So
horrible because the people didn't join that site. So if they buy the lists and then it's just, yeah, no, that's ridiculous. That's so bad. It's hard. I wouldn't want to start a new site these days because it would be challenging unless you have a really unique idea that caught fire fast.
yeah, so you are on purpose, you are generous, you also believe in synchronicity and in love. And so, to make this video more viewer friendly, I'm going to end this part one, and I want to talk with you about part two, which is about, well, you have a small pool of people who believe in love, but they likely don't live close to each other. So, how do you make long distance relationship work?
Beautiful.